So, today I want to talk with you about the heart. Yes, you see this. I cut myself, okay? And this is a makeshift bandage in the field. So, the heart. Very, very important to protect your heart. And we've lost that. In our culture, in America and a lot of the West, we have this idea to push young adults and teenagers even. We start with our preteens. Follow your heart, follow your heart, follow your heart. And we bombard them with this from every angle, in every media that they're exposed to, from every person that they're exposed to, except for some who they end up labeling as, you're just practical, right? But listen to what the Bible has to say. Because the scriptures are the final word on it, aren't they? Because they're God's very words. Okay? So let's look at Proverbs 4:23. What does it say? So I made a fresh translation of this last night as I lie in bed before I went to sleep. Because I heard the Lord saying to me even earlier, make a translation of this, make a translation of this. And I told him that I would. And so I did before I went to sleep. Then I woke up in the morning and I said, I remember translating this before. It's such an important verse. So I went back and looked, and sure enough, I had it translated already. But this is a much better translation. But here we go. Proverbs 4:23. To every guarding of protection, you must be watching your heart with an eye to keep from injury. For from out of those protections are exoduses from life in the form of departing roads. Very important. Now you've heard it. I want to read to you what is found in the corrupted Old Testament. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. Out of it, the heart, spring the issues of life. Or out of the diligence, which one? See, in the Greek is very clear. In the Greek, it's plural, and it's those. And it's also the right gender. So it only points to the guardings or the protections. So you must be watching, to every guarding of protection, meaning that you're watching with an eye to keep from injury your heart, to or towards or into every protection, every guarding. It's the same, it's one word actually, protection or guarding, but it's difficult because you want to capture both of those for the full meaning. It's not just any kind of guarding, it's a guarding for protection. And that goes along with the other guarding, which is to watch with an eye to keep from injury. It's one word, pareo. So the idea is that it's a command first. You must be. You must be watching your heart with an eye to keep it from injury, into guarding for protection. So you've got to watch your heart, and you have to make sure it's moved in and kept in under guard, like isolation guard. There are different kinds of guarding in Greek, as there are in English. This one in particular is about isolating. Now the tereo isn't. Tereo is simply keeping an eye on it to keep it from injury. It might be out in the world, it might be in a room, isolated, but the second one is specifically isolated. You're protecting the heart by keeping the heart isolated. Then it says for, connecting it, for the reason that you must do that it's a command to you, that you must do. It's not an option, you must do it. For from out of those protections of the heart, that you watch carefully the heart to protect it, keep it from injury, and keep it in those guardings, those isolated guardings. For from out of those isolated guardings, the protections, are exoduses from life. It's not a good exodus. Are exoduses from life in the form of departing roads. The word exodus means a departure along a road, from out of something. Ek means from out of, ek or ex. And then the other part is the word for road or way or path, or to go along a road or a way or path. So an exodus is leaving somewhere along a path, like a specified direction, specified destination, just like with the Exodus in the Old Testament. They were leaving Pharaoh in Egypt, and Moses already knew where he was going to take them, to Mount Sinai. So there was a road that they were taking from out of Egypt. That was the Exodus. And this is saying, for from out of those protections, those isolation protections, are exoduses, roads that leave out from life, meaning this is life. And there are many roads that try to lead you out from life. And that is what you're guarding against. This is in the form of departing roads. Very different. Very different. Now, it captures some of the same things. For out of the heart is the wellspring of life. How did they word that here? 4:23. For out of it spring the issues of life. Issue isn't like a topic. Issue is like when water comes out of a spring and it issues forth. It moves, it comes out and moves forth. So the issues of life, the life gushing out. Okay, but there is no such thing in the Bible. That's all made up. That's made up by the Jewish rabbis who killed Jesus and all of those who followed after them generation after generation. And over hundreds of years, they finally finished their project of making that. And you say, but what's wrong with that? Well, what's wrong with it is it's not the words that God gave us. So that's what's wrong with it. And it's pretending to be. And so if you take that as God's words that he gave in his testimony, and then you build your whole system of details about how to live a Christian life and why to live a Christian life and what God meant when he spoke to us and what he intends to us, all out of those words and the details, you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong. So we're translating from the manuscript that Jesus and the disciples used, the Septuagint. So, what does this mean for you? What does it mean for you? What does this mean? So you've heard this stated many times before. I've even quoted it before I made that decision about the Septuagint as the source for translation, before I knew about the deceit that was around the Old Testament. But after I knew that, I could not be silent, and I could not stay upon that lie that is the Old Testament of most every English translation. Listen to this. You've heard this said before. I myself have said it and declared it. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Right? Some of them say desperately beyond cure. That's not what it says. It's not what it says. The heart is deep beyond all things, and it is the man, and who can know him? It's what it says. I, the Lord, try the hearts and prove the reins. That word for reins is kidneys, by the way. I prove the kidneys, the reins of the will. To give to everyone according to his ways, roads, paths. That's that word. And according to the fruits of his devices. Okay? Very interesting. In your Old Testament, it'll say something like, I, the Lord, search the heart, I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. Very similar. It's almost identical. But verse 9 is absolutely different. Because in the lie, it's claiming the heart is deceitful more than anything. It says above all things. Now that could mean that it is deceitful more than anything else is deceitful, or it could be that the main thing about the heart, above everything else about the heart, is that it is deceitful. So it's ambiguous, at least in the English. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. They even specifically name it. The heart is desperately wicked. Who can know it? But in the testimony God gave, the heart is deep, beyond all things. And it is the man. The heart is the man. And who can know him? I hope this has helped. The heart is the man. And knowing that, the heart is deep above all things, and it is the man. Into every guarding of protection, you must be watching your heart with an eye to keep from injury. Why? Because your heart is you. God just said that in Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is the man. It is the human being, the person. For from out of those protections of you as a person, the heart, the protections of the heart, out of those are many roads leaving out from life. Leaving out from life, taking you away from life in the form of departing roads. And you go down those roads and you're departing from life. You're departing from life. If you go down those roads, you're departing from life. You had better keep an eye on your heart, which is you, to keep it from injury and into these guardings of protection. May the Lord bless you as you seek Him with all your heart.